Today on Pots and Trowels we're catching up with crops and jobs in the veg garden. It's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and Allett. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. This week we're in the veg patch. This is the front part of the garden, south facing, lovely low walls around it, the barn at the back, so it really is a sun trap and it's perfect for growing those vegetables that need that little bit of extra warmth. Things I sometimes struggle with here in North Yorkshire, and this is one of them. This is butternut squash. We love butternut squash. It's really good, it stores through the winter and you can use it in so many ways, but we just often don't get the fruits. They don't mature and ripen, but this year I think we're going to do okay because there's quite a lot of fruit developing on this already. Now I know some of you watching in the south might have already been picking your butternut squashes, but we're much behind here in weather terms, so we don't normally start to pick these till mid to late September. So they're doing well, and if I just look in the plant, there's lots of young ones starting to develop. So hopefully through the latter part of August, September, with plenty of warmth, sunshine, high potash liquid feeds, they'll be okay. And the other thing that I'm going to do is just restrict the number of fruits per plant, maybe only 5 or 6. So any little ones towards the end, I'm going to pinch those off so all the energy can go into these, and fingers crossed we'll get some superb fruits. Another plant that I can grow, but sometimes we don't get enough warmth in our summers, is this one. This is sweet corn, and this is a variety called Incredible, and it is incredible because it normally does very well. Getting to a good height on there, it's started to form the cobs, so we're probably going to get 2 or 3 cobs per plant on these. These are the female part of the plant, and then if we go all the way to the top, we can see here this is the male flower, and this is what pollinates these tassels on the end of the female cob there. And these are going to need at least another month of growth to put some weight on, fatten up a little bit. These tassels will go all brown, and when they are, that's an indication that we're ready to harvest it. Beautiful when it's cooked fresh with some melted butter on. Something that's done very well, in fact it's done too well for us this year, courgettes. Now Jill and I have been away for a few days, not had a chance to get to the garden, and as you can see, in just a matter of days, what were little courgettes have developed into baby marrows, and these are still quite soft skinned, so these are perfectly okay. They've not gone hard yet, so you could still eat them as a courgette. And what are you going to do with all of these courgettes, Mrs. Fish?
I'm going to make a big batch of ratatouille. Big
batch of ratatouille. Well, fortunately we've got lots of peppers starting to ripen at home, and tomatoes are ripening, so all the ingredients there. Take them off though if they get too big, and inside, if we look down into it, there are still lots of flowers and little courgettes developing, so by taking the big ones off we'll get some of those lovely little baby courgettes. And then finally, before we go round the back, if Jill can just fight your way through the courgettes and the sunflowers and the cut flowers, we've got the outdoor tomatoes. If you remember, we looked at the indoor ones we're growing back at home a few weeks ago. We were side shooting and feeding. Well, I just put a few out here again against this south facing wall where it's lovely and warm. They get that reflective heat. This one is a variety called Furline, and Furline has naturally got good resistance to tomato blight, which has been a problem, I know, for some people this year. So these are never going to get as big as the indoor ones, but as you can see, we've got some good lower trusses on there, and they're just starting to turn. So I would think within a couple of weeks we'll be picking these, and when they are ripened in the sun like this, they are absolutely delicious. So keep them watered, fed. And the other variety I'm growing is a plum variety. This one is called Roma, that typical plum shape there. It's not resistant particularly to blight, but it hasn't got any, I think because it's nice and dry and warm by this wall. So they are delicious in casseroles and stews and that type of thing. So they're doing well. So what we'll do is just pop round the back and see how everything's getting on there. Well, in the back garden, everything seems to have grown well and we're getting some good crops. Having said that, we've had 1 or 2 things that haven't been quite as good. So let's just have a look, see what we can harvest and see what needs any attention. Leeks are doing well, really pleased with those. They're growing well in the soil. And this is the onion bed at this bottom bit. The onions done particularly well. And what I did with these about a week ago, and there's still time to do it, is I want to stop them growing now. The bulbs have made their maximum size. So I just pulled them out the ground just to break the roots so that they stop taking in moisture, and they've been lying on the side in the sun, and you can see they're now starting to dry. The idea is to get the outside of the onion to dry as much as possible. The more we can ripen the onion, the better it will keep right the way through the winter. So these white onions here are a variety called Centurion, which is a good keeper. And then we've got this one here. This one is Red Baron, so we've got some delicious red onions, and if I just peel that outer skin off, you can see the outer skin there is absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Look at that, so shiny there, it's just like a ruby. So that one is Red Baron, and then this one here is a pink onion. It's the first time I've grown it. This one is called Rosanna, and again, it's only when you peel off this really flaky, which I'm not going to do too much because I want to leave that on for protection, but we've got this lovely pink skin under there. So all of these were planted as sets back in early April, and here we are now going into the 3rd week in August, and these are now ready to dry off. And I want to dry them so all these leaves go really dry and brittle, and the bulb goes firm, and then what we can do is store them. So we'll show you that another time. So these will be left out for a few more days to dry, and then we can store them. So beetroot's doing well, getting some really good beetroot, particularly this variety. This one here, and it's the cylindrica beetroot. I think this one's called Alto, and you get these long beets instead of the traditional globe beet like that. With any type of beetroot though, when you harvest it, a little tip: never cut the leaves off, just twist them off, and that way it won't bleed and it will stay nice and firm. And of course all these twisted off leaves, they can go into the compost bin. Parsnips doing really well. Obviously we don't know what's underneath them just yet, and we've got the carrots in the carrot root fly frame there. We'll be lifting those shortly. And then of course the runner beans doing very well. This was our little trial of runner beans, and they've both done pretty much the same. One was planted directly into the soil, which was there, and these were plants, and we're getting wonderful crops. And the secret of course with the runner beans is you've got to eat lots of them, because you need to pick them every few days. So as soon as we finish this, Jill's going to be picking these with me, and we can freeze them. They are perfect size. Don't let them get too big and woody. A couple of things that have gone wrong this year. One is some of the brassicas I planted outside without any protection on them, and we've had lots of butterflies. And again, with being away for a few days, some of the caterpillars have hatched on these, and as you can see, we are now starting to get damage. And there are some caterpillars on here. You can probably see there's one. There's the 2 different types of caterpillar we've got here from the 2 different types of cabbage white butterfly. But that is the green one, and then we can see here we've got one of the other caterpillars there, that sort of little stripy one. So I'm just going to pick those off. It's the easiest way really, just to go around and just pick them off and dispose of them. The birds love these, and my chickens love them, but if you don't pick them off, they will completely eat this and turn it into a net curtain. And the other thing that we've had a slight problem with is potatoes. You might remember a couple of weeks ago I just did a very quick video one Saturday morning because we got blight. Now this variety is called Sarpomyra, and these are fine, these are blight resistant, but all the others were showing signs of blight down here. So what we did is we cut all the tops off and disposed of it. So we've just left the rows there, and what I'm going to do now 2 weeks later is just to dig them up, and we do that just to make sure that the blight doesn't go down into the tubers. And this is a second early called Charlotte, the rest the main crop. And if I just hope there's a root here somewhere, it looks about right. If we just dig those, as we can see here, those are absolutely as clean as a whistle. So the blight that was on the leaves, we caught it in time. It didn't go down the stems, and it hasn't affected any of the tubers. So all is not lost, and we should get a really good crop of potatoes off those. They can be eaten. Great salad potato, and the main crops obviously we'll lift those shortly, and they'll be stored for the winter. So everything's starting to come to fruition in the garden. 1 or 2 things gone slightly wrong, but on the whole really pleased with it. Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and I've certainly got plenty to keep me busy over the next day or two harvesting all this produce from the garden. So thank you for watching. Please tell all your friends about us, get them to share it so we can get as many people gardening as possible. Next week, something slightly different. We're going down to Mr. Fothergill's seed trial in Suffolk, so join us then. Bye.